This exhibition was born from an interest in taking Homer to a new geography, combining epic stories and history of women with characters and themes coming from the Indian Ocean world. The purpose was to detach Homer from the geography of the Mediterranean and to create an intersection of the text with a new landscape. It was an experiment of the sea as a narrator, as an option of rewriting the Odyssey, as if the Indian Ocean were a library from where we can tell new episodes.
The idea of submerging the Odyssey of Homer in the waters of the Indian Ocean come from the work of Portuguese artist Marco Godinho and his installation of the Venice Biennale in 2019, Written by Water, in which he submerges the book of the Odyssey in the Mediterranean Sea. This is the starting point of the exhibition Homer and the Indian Ocean. From there, it looks at other topics of African history, such as the role of women through African textiles, the oral tradition and the written culture, and the hybridity of the classical antiquity when found outside Europe. References to ancient Greece and Rome are like global objects of consumption that are found in Africa and all over the world.
Então, escravatura é o quê? Porque aqui neste caso para os jovens era o colonialismo. Então, quer dizer, o trabalho forçado, as formas de exploração também são escravatura. É disso que estamos a falar. Então, quando me perguntavas, mas então qual é os artistas, como trabalharam sobre estas questões, eu, por exemplo, lembrei-me logo da minha ida à Ilha de Reunião, onde é muito presente o trabalho sobre a escravatura e de quantos artistas contemporâneos trabalham sobre estas marcas, etc.
The idea was to establish a connection between two realities that have rarely been in contact, Homer and the Indian Ocean. It is also a reflection of written culture in Africa, addressing problems such as the invisibility of women, land tenure routes, migration, and slavery.
The Odyssey tells the story of the Greek hero Odysseus and his multiple adventures when returning home after the Trojan War. It is a masterpiece of Western literature. Homer narrates the story of Iolo, who gives Odysseus a bag of winds. His companions, thinking that it is gold, open it, and a huge tempest begins. Eratosthenes from the 3rd century BCE was of the opinion that the wanderings of Odysseus were fiction and could not be located on a real map. To place the Odyssey in new regions of the world opens up the possibility of exploring the Indian Ocean as another narrator. Azania and Rapta, names that denote the East African coast in the Periplus of the Erythraean Sea from the 1st century BCE, acquire new meanings from a perspective of global encounters.
Esses grupos Swahili, ou de origem Swahili, poderíamos dizer, se calhar é uma swahilização. Em Moçambique ocorre uma swahilização já de segundo grau, né? Mas de qualquer forma, quando os portugueses chegaram a Moçambique, o que existia na costa eram de facto estes reinos ou estes sultanatos e sheikados Swahili, como por exemplo na ilha de Moçambique.
This exemplifies the crossing of the Odyssey with other geographies and narratives, such as the Lusiadas of Camões that took place partly in Mozambique and Omeros of Derek Walcott in the Caribbean.
Very easily makes its way to aquele praia oriental Mozambicana. I don't think there's really a problem. In fact, that's where the action, the narrative of the epic begins, is in Mozambique. And probably where a lot of the Lusíadas was in fact written. Almost none of it was written in Portugal. It is an Indian Ocean epic in a very sort of direct way. And in this, I don't think he's inventing circumstances. Even in the case of Virgil, his first bucolic is very much about the loss of land, about being uprooted and dispossessed of the land.
There was a lot of connection with the work of Derek Walcott. For those who don't know his work, Walcott was a major lyric poet from the Caribbean, from the island of St. Lucia. And really from very early on in his work, he makes a theme out of his kind of conflicted background. That he says in his own work that he had a black grandparent and a white grandparent on both his mother's and his father's side. Those issues arise very much for what you're doing with introducing Homer to the Indian Ocean. You know, it's something positive. I think bringing Homer into a new cultural context, relating Homer to an ocean with which the poet is not normally associated. Just as Walcott was, seeing Odysseus in the Caribbean.
Shield of Sand, Odyssey Book 5, line 278 to 281. For 17 days he voyaged across the water. Then, on the 18th, shadowy mountains rose, where the Phaeacian land was close to him, as it lay like a shield out on the misty sea. The installation of the Shield of Sand, using a Chinese plate and fragments of old Chinese pottery found at the seashores of Ilha de Mozambique, refers to the mercantile world of the Indian Ocean, in which Chinese ceramics were one of the most global objects, together with cotton. The influence of classical antiquity travels around the world, just like China or cotton, and one can see representations of the ancient world that change use and purpose when mixed with the local influences where they arrived.
A reflection on material culture attached to classical studies gives us the option to see the performance of antiquity as a global product that was consumed in different parts of the world in a variety of forms and shapes. Classics beyond Europe was not free from engaging in negotiation with other influences, and it was affected or modified while traveling with the encounter of local cultures.